there, everyone. Thanks for coming back. Sorry, I was just playing with Engine there. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm Carrie, and this is my channel, Carrie Unplugged. I've been sitting around and been doing a lot of thinking about life and where it's going, where it's been, and how I got to... Ow, Engine, that was my toe. Sorry. Kitties are at play today. I'm thinking about how I got to where I am today and what made me the person I am. The thing is that when I look back at everything that's gone on in my life, for the very long time, I have thought it was because I did things wrong and I deserved what had happened to me because of the way I acted or the things that I said, or maybe even the things I didn't say. Anyhow, it started many years ago. And I think that it started when I had my children, or maybe just a little bit before. I got married about 31 years ago to my first husband, and I thought that was what I was supposed to do. You know, that's what I was told I was supposed to do. I got pregnant and, oh, well, you were supposed to be married if you're pregnant having a child. So that's what we did. And I got married to this man and I had my son. And then we had some really rocky times. And I got pregnant again, but I moved out. And before I had my second son, I moved back in. But I spent a year of listening to my husband say, "It's not my kid. It's not my kid." Why? Because I moved into an apartment building where his sister had friends, and those friends just so happened to be guys, and one of the guys was interested in me, and nothing happened between him, but I got accused of it. And I spent a year trying to tell him, "This is your kid." And then I just gave up. I had enough. I couldn't deal with it anymore. So I pushed him out of my life and I moved on with mine. I moved to a whole different town. I met somebody new and I thought, this is the man for me. We're going to be together forever. And everybody around us said, "Oh, you guys make the perfect couple." I thought, oh, finally, finally something good happened to me. Lo and behold, that didn't happen. I had this friend from high school and she used to mimic me all the time. And I kept telling everybody, I'm like, what is her problem? She's supposed to be my best friend, but she seems to want to copy my life. What's with that? I would date somebody, break up with them, and a couple of days later, she was dating them. The only difference between us was that I wasn't sleeping around with everybody. She was, and she got the reputation of it. Anyhow, high school ended. I moved on with my life. Didn't hear from her for the longest time. And meanwhile, I'm married on my second marriage. And I've got a beautiful little baby girl. My two boys come every second weekend to see me. My daughter is just a wee little girl. That friend from high school who called herself my best friend called me in a panic saying she needed somewhere to stay far from where she was right then and there. So I asked my husband, I said, "Do you mind if my friend comes and stays with us for a while until she finds a place and gets back on her feet?" I said, "I know our place is tiny, but we can do it." And he agreed. That was fine. She moved in with us and I put her in the room with my daughter, and my husband and I had the room beside. This is a teeny tiny little 2-bedroom apartment. Then she turns around to me and she's like, "I need to find a job. I don't know how to find a job here." I said, "Well, my work is hiring. Let me go talk to my boss." She said, "Oh, thank you." And she was so grateful for this. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, I'm being a kind person and being a good person and bringing her in. And sorry, Engine's trying to eat my microphone. No, Engine. Anyhow, I go and talk to my boss and I get her hired there, and everything seems to be fine, at this point. Lo and behold, all of a sudden, my hours are starting to get cut at work. And I'm like, what's going on? And she seems to be going out to work a lot more. I'm full time and she's part time, like casual. But now she's working more than me. I go into my boss and I ask him what's going on. He informs me that she had come in and told him that I didn't want all these hours anymore, that I wanted to stay home with my daughter. I'm paying for a babysitter full time, my own pocket, but I don't want any of my hours. But hey, he just ran off with Steve. Give me back Steve. So anyhow, sorry, engines at play here today. Anyhow, I go home and I talk to her about this, and she's like, "Oh, I thought you could use a rest, so I offered to take some of your shifts." What? I was confused. So I told her, I said, "No, you don't do that without consulting me first." And I told my boss, I said, "You give me back my shifts." And he's like, "Oh, I can. I already gave them away." I said, "Without telling me." Anyhow, now I'm almost out of shifts, and she's got them all. Now all my regulars are loving her, and all my friends now are loving her, and my in-laws are loving her. I'm like, okay, she's adapting, and I'll overlook this little mistake of hers about my work. And a few weeks go by, and I've got one shift a week. I said, what the heck is going on here? I said, I went from full-time to part-time to one shift a week, and then he let me go because I wasn't being considerate of her feelings. And I lost my job. A job that I've worked at for many, many years, and I've helped out a lot of the companies. And all of a sudden I'm let go. Huh. Okay. Because I'm not considering her feelings. Well, that wasn't the end of it. Oh no. She ran havoc on my life. A few weeks later, I get a phone call from one of my husband's friends, and he informs me that, hey, as you know, your friend and I have been hooking up, but I got something to tell you that she told me in privacy. And I said, what? Okay, tell me. He's like, you're not going to like this, but she's going around telling everybody that she's been sleeping with your husband. I dropped my phone. I was flabbergasted. But you know what? I had to be the bigger person because that's the way I was brought up. And I kind of laughed it off. And I said, oh, that's impossible. He'd never do that to me. And a couple of days goes by, and guess what? He offers to start cooking dinner. I'm thinking to myself, something's not right. My husband doesn't cook dinners. Ever. Ever, ever, ever does he cook dinner. And I was like, are you sure on that? You want to cook me dinner? What did I do so special? And he's like, oh, I think you just deserve it. Okay. It's not my birthday. It's not our anniversary. And we haven't been in the house for a year. So what other things could we be missing? Huh. I'm kind of stumped. When does a man cook for a wife when he never cooks at all? I don't know. Boop, boop, boop. I would say something's up. So he's in there stirring the pot of spaghetti and acting very suspicious. I thought, this is my chance. This is my chance to get a little bit of payback. And I said, hon, I had this really weird call today. It was from an unknown number. He's like, what? I said, well, they called and said that you were messing around with our roommate, my best friend. I said, it really hurt that somebody would call and make a prank call like that. I said, I can't believe it. So he kind of looks at me and then looks back at the pot, shuffles over, turns a bit away from me. And now he's stirring the spaghetti sauce a little bit faster. I said, what's wrong? He's like, well, I kind of have something to tell you. Now, I did forget to mention that the week prior, I tossed all her shit out of my house. Literally. opened the front door, threw it outside, told her to get lost and not to ever come back. Now he's there and he's acting suspicious. I threw her out because she caused me to lose my job and she was going around talking trash about me. So I kicked her out of my house. Now I got my husband at the stove making me spaghetti for the very first time. Guess what? Yeah, you got it. He confessed. He confessed over making a pot of spaghetti for me for the first time. Out of all the years we've been together, that was the first time he made spaghetti, and he confessed. He confessed with sleeping with my best friend, who has already stolen my job, who's basically stolen all my friends, who's been sucking up to my in-laws to find out she's been sleeping with my husband. And I just had this woman living in my house. She was supposed to be my best friend from high school. She was supposed to be my best friend. What kind of best friend does that? Are you kidding me? But it didn't end there. I made him leave the house, and I kept our apartment, and I kept our daughter, and I kept our debt. He took the money and the car and whatever lifestyle he wanted, because that wasn't the only girl he slept with behind my back. He did it when he was a truck driver. He did it when he worked at the slaughterhouse. He did it when I left because of the bullshit that happened when we owned our home. When he brought a couple into our home and they took over and I got pushed to the side. Oh yeah, I left. Okay. I left for Florida and I stayed there for 6 months. Well, actually I stayed there for 3 months the first time. Then I came home because he said we were going to work together on our marriage. Then I left and he brought me back saying he was moving there and he didn't. Okay. But back to the spaghetti and him confessing, I kicked him out. And then we tried to work on things. We bought a house, we got married, and he was still cheating on me. But I was brought up that you stay together, death do you part. You work on it. I kept falling for every single one of his tricks. Why? Because I loved him. I loved him so much. He was my soul. I'd do anything for this man, and he caused me a world of hurt. It wasn't just what he was doing to me. It was the way people were reacting to me, acting like I did everything. I was the wrong, and he was Mr. Perfect. They acted like his mistress was Miss Perfect, and still to this day, they still hang out with her. They still talk to her on a daily basis. They still act like she did nothing wrong, and that everything that I had said was just a lie. That's what hurt the most. It was the hurt of losing people who I thought were family, the people that I trusted, and the people that I built a community around. It wasn't fair. Not in my eyes. It didn't seem fair. I did everything. I tried so hard. We got a house and we got our friends to move in because they didn't have a place. This man started working with my husband at his new job, and his wife would sit there and make lunches for my husband and him. She would take care of the kids. She would clean the house. I was literally pushed to the side in my own home, a home that I owned. Well, when we finally got them out, I went to Florida because I couldn't stand it. These two had corrupted my husband so badly that he thought the worst of me. He bugged our computers. He would take the cell phone and the house phone with him to work, so I couldn't make any calls when he was gone. They were telling me when I could and couldn't make phone calls and who I could talk to. It was horrifying. Finally got them out, and in the meantime, I had met a friend online, and yeah, we were flirty, but he was going through a really rough time with his marriage, and I was going through a hard time with mine. We were using each other to lean on. So he bought me a ticket to go to Florida because he knew how bad it was getting. I left. My husband convinced me into coming home. He came down, he got me, drove me home. And we made a plan that we were going to move down there. So we packed up everything and got down there. And I thought he was looking for a job down there, but he hightailed it back to Canada. And while he was down in Canada, he was sleeping around with people, and he was still talking to me to get back together. And I finally agreed to come back. So off I went, and the nightmare began. Back to those people who controlled me in my own house. Now I'm living in their home. I'm like, okay, well, they can't be the same. Like, they're good people. I'll give them a chance. No. Anyhow, they'd lock the doors. They'd put my stuff in a locker in their house, like a trunk. They bugged my computer. They took away my cell phone. I wasn't allowed to go out anywhere. I wasn't allowed to go anywhere with my daughter. It was absolute nightmare. I called my parents. I pleaded with them. I'm like, come get me. This is a nightmare. I'm being kept hostage here. They're like, no, you're not. No, you're not. What is it when you're locked in somebody's house? Your possessions are kept in a tickle trunk locked and you don't have the key to. You can't make phone calls from your cell phone because that's taken away. You can't use your own computer because they put spyware in it. You're not allowed to go out for a walk unless they come with you. What is that? I think that's called being kept hostage. Sorry, I don't see it any other way. Anyhow, after several calls from a payphone to my parents, they finally called my husband and said, what are you doing to Carrie? Like, she's calling crying, saying she's been kept hostage. Oh, well, we're looking for a place. What do you mean you're looking for a place? Just move your friend out of our home. Then we can move back in. Well, finally did get back in that house to find termination letters. We were behind on our mortgage, and his friend's been using our home as a grow up. So the room that we had all of our stuff stored in is now covered in mold. My husband hasn't been paying the mortgage on the house while I was away, even though he had enough to do it because he's renting the house out. The amount of money his friend was paying for rent is double what the mortgage was. His friend wasn't paying rent. He was living there for free. What? He destroyed the house. Nobody's paying the mortgage, and I'm the bad guy. Okay, good to know. I've had to deal with these people twice. Twice they took over my life, and my husband did nothing. Yeah. So, that concludes that part, anyways. I thought that everything's been my fault this whole time. It's not until you actually say the words to hear what went on do you realize that it's not you. It wasn't me. I might have made some mistakes, but what was done to me shouldn't have happened to anybody that was abusive. It changed my life. It changed my world around me. It changed the way I look at other people that I bring into my life. It's kept me very closed off because I don't trust being in a relationship, and I don't trust a lot of people. I truly, truly wish that my life went in a different direction, but if it had, it wouldn't have made me the strong, tough person that I am today, and it wouldn't have put me in the situation of sitting here behind the camera making these videos. So if you've been in a situation like that, please, please, for the love of God, don't blame yourself. You didn't do anything wrong. They made the choice to attack you in that kind of way to make you feel weak. You're not weak. You cared and you loved people that you thought you could trust. I trusted my husband to have my back. I trusted my husband to believe in our marriage, but he did me dirty. You know what? Karma bites you in the butt. It really will. I have no ill words to say, but I truly don't want any of these people back in my life ever again. I get blamed all the time for the things that they did wrong, the things that they did to me. They didn't care about the marriage vows. They didn't care about me at all. They cared about what they wanted and what they could get from me. That girl that slept with my husband, you were never a friend of mine. You pretended to be. You honestly thought maybe you were a friend. But friends don't do what you did to me. You never even apologized. You never came to me to tell me. And you tried to throw everything back on me. Even when I confronted you, you still didn't have the balls to stand up and tell me what you did. That's not a friend. To my ex, you know damn well you were in the wrong. Shame on you. And still, to this day, you still try to fool everybody. You know what? You be you. Be happy with your choices. But I'm tired of feeling guilty. I'm tired of feeling like I was the one to be blamed. I didn't. I loved you and I loved our marriage. I loved our family. I loved your family. And I tried to prove that every single day, but it wasn't good enough. To his family, who may be watching this, I want to say thank you for all the loving years that I did get to spend with you. I'm sorry that these two people fooled you for so many years. And I hope one day you can look back on this and understand why I stayed so quiet for so long and why now I put this out here. To the people that I lost along the way, because I went through a lot of mental abuse, to those people, I'm sorry that we fell adrift. I hope one day you'll see this and understand why I had to go away. It wasn't a choice. It was something I had to do for my own well-being, my own mental health. If you're out there and you've gone through these situations, just know that you're not alone. And there is a lot of help out there for the people who still suffer. Please understand, you're not alone. I've gone through it and I'm here. Till next time, this is Carrie Unplugged. Hope to see you again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I need all the help I can get. Bye, everyone.